Welcome back, dreamers. I'm Hallowell, and this is your space for unraveling the symbols, stories, and soul work that speak through the stars, the cards, and our dreams. This week, we're meeting the new moon in Taurus, a moon of roots, rest, and sacred intention. But we're also sitting with something far more disruptive, the archetype of Apokalypsis. Now, don't let the name fool you. Apokalypsis isn't about catastrophe. It's about revelation. It's what happens when the veil is lifted and we finally see clearly, whether we're ready to or not. In this episode, we'll explore how Apokalypsis is showing up in our collective and personal stories, from viral trends to our subconscious minds. We'll unpack its invitation to truth, clarity, and a deep, uncomfortable honesty. And we'll pair it with the grounding energy of Taurus, a sign that reminds us to build slowly, to plant wisely, and to care deeply for what we are creating. You'll hear a dream that challenges our instincts when confronting abuses of power, a tarot ritual to help you root into your truth, and a guided new moon practice to hold it all in gently. So wherever you are, take a breath. The curtain is lifting. The ground is soft. Let's step into what's being revealed together. As we welcome the new moon in Taurus, let's ground ourselves in ritual. This moon invites us to plant new intentions. However, with Apokalypsis as our guide, it's not about manifesting illusions or seeking comfort. Instead, it's about anchoring into what's real, both within us and around us, rooting ourselves in truth, growing from what has been revealed. If you'd like to join me, gather the following: a piece of paper torn in two, something to write with, a seed, stone, or plant, a container filled with soil. If you're using a plant, ensure the container is large enough to support its growth without disruption. Pause the segment, and when you're ready, I'll be here waiting for you. Now, let's get still. Find a quiet space and settle in. If it feels right, light a candle. Place both feet firmly on the ground and take a deep breath, inviting calm into your body. We begin. Say out loud or in your heart, "Whatever is being revealed to me now, I choose to meet it with grace. I release the need to control the outcome. I am open to truth, even when it's uncomfortable." Let this intention settle deeply within you. Notice any resistance that rises and breathe through it. Write down one truth that has recently surfaced for you, something you've seen with growing clarity. This could be a pattern, a relationship, or a belief that no longer serves you. This is something you're ready to accept, not out of resignation, but out of reverence for reality. Fold the paper and place it into a bowl on your altar. This is your offering, your honesty, your willingness to live in the light. Now, write down one value, desire, or intention that feels undeniably yours, something you're ready to root into, something that can stand strong in the light of the truth. As you write, say out loud, "I plant this not to escape, but to remain, to grow with clarity, to live from the ground up." Hold your seed, stone, or plant as you speak these words, or simply place your hand over your heart. Feel the weight of what you're anchoring. Take your seed, stone, or plant along with your written intention and create a space for it in the soil. Gently cover it with dirt, ensuring it's well supported. Pause and appreciate this moment of surrender, knowing that your intentions have been honored. Finally, we begin the work of integration. Close your ritual, by repeating, I honor what is being revealed. I trust what is being born. May I meet both with deep acceptance of myself and others. Take a final breath. Extinguish the candle. Return to your body. You've just made space for a different kind of growth, one rooted in truth, resilience, and radical self-acceptance. This is your new moon in Taurus. This is Apokalypsis, not the collapse, but the beginning of something seen clearly and loved regardless. With this new moon in Taurus, the archetype rising through the collective is Apokalypsis, the sacred act of unveiling. We are being shown what was hidden, not in chaos, but in clarity. Apokalypsis reveals the truth that has long been buried beneath illusion, distortion, and self-protection. Old narratives, once held together by little white lies or larger betrayals, are unraveling. The veil is lifting. It might feel like disorientation, a slow motion fall from a dream that was never fully real. But beneath that fall is freedom. Freedom to see, to feel, and to choose what comes next with full presence. This moon invites us not to rush into action, but to sit in the truth we've uncovered, to grieve if needed, to breathe, to make space for regeneration. The peacock, our spiritual guide for this lunar cycle, reminds us that beauty begins within. It radiates from the core when we release resentment, forgive the fragments, and truly digest the experiences that once kept us stuck. The peacock does not hide its colors, but it also doesn't perform for approval. It simply is, fully expressed, centered in truth, and deeply at peace. So as the moon darkens and the earth pulls us inward, ask yourself, what truths are finally coming to light? What parts of your life were built on stories that no longer hold? Can you honor the truth without judgment? This is your moment of reckoning, not with punishment, but with honesty. And from honesty comes healing. Let the archetype of Apokalypsis guide you in shedding the skin of illusion. Let the peacock remind you, when you process and integrate your experiences fully, you radiate peace. And remember, when the unknown becomes known, it serves to guide the way. This week we're sitting with the archetype Apokalypsis, not as apocalypse in an end-of-day sense, but as revelation, the pulling back of the curtain, the moment something once hidden becomes suddenly seen. And what better way to explore this than through 3 trends you might have scrolled past without a second thought: girl dinner, Algospeak, and the no-filter aging and body neutrality movement. Let's start with girl dinner. It's a plate of crackers and cheese, pickles, and a few olives, maybe just a few spoonfuls of peanut butter and some chocolate chips. At first glance, it's funny, a little lazy, yet relatable. But under that humor is something deeper. A quiet truth about emotional labor, exhaustion, and how nourishment gets deprioritized in a culture that often expects women to feed everyone first. Girl Dinner says, "This is all the energy I have for tonight." It reveals what's been invisible, the burnout, the self-sacrifice, and a deep unspoken need for ease. That's Apokalypsis. It's not collapse, but rather clarity. A truth rising to the surface, one seemingly non-cohesive plate of snacks at a time. Now shift with me into the digital realm, into the world of Algospeak. On platforms like TikTok, users twist the language to dodge algorithmic censorship. They say unalive instead of dead, Yahtzee in place of Nazi, and gardening to allude to marijuana use. It's creative, it's playful, but it's also a symptom. Algospeak reveals the invisible hands shaping what we're allowed to say. It unveils the reality of speech being filtered through machines trained to suppress, often without context or compassion. And yet, people keep speaking. They code their truths into new language, slipping messages past the gates. Apokalypsis lives here too, in the exposure of hidden control, in the resilience of people refusing to be silenced. And then there's the no-filter, aging, and body neutrality movements. As more people post real images of aging bodies, stretch marks, disabilities, or acne without retouching, they're participating in Apokalypsis. They are peeling back decades of marketing-fueled illusion about beauty and self-worth. What's revealed? A deeper truth. Bodies are real, lived in, and yet still divine. So as we move through this week, I invite you to reflect. Where in your own life is something being revealed? What truth is quietly rising to the surface? Welcome to this week's lunar weather. We begin this week in the calm, fertile soil of the new moon in Taurus, a grounding moment, a pause, an invitation to plant something tangible, something real. Taurus isn't asking us to dream harder, it's asking us to build better, to feel into what holds weight in our bodies, our routines, our homes, and our values. By midweek, the moon slips into Cancer and becomes a waxing crescent. That's when the seedling begins to stir. Emotions might swell with nostalgia or sensitivity, but they're also showing you where nourishment is needed. The waxing crescent phase is a time to nurture your intentions gently, but consistently. Take a ritual focus. Anchor your intentions in the body. Try stretching, walking barefoot, or savoring a home-cooked meal. Start a value check-in list. What do I actually want to give my energy to this month? Tend to your space. Small acts like cleaning or beautifying your home align with Taurus's Venusian essence. And now, archetype in blue. Long-term cycle, 6-month journey begins. With the new moon in Taurus, we begin a 6-month arc of embodying the Taurus archetype, a steady force of sensual wisdom, resourcefulness, and sacred simplicity. This archetype asks, what is enough? And more importantly, what is worth tending to when the world gets loud? You might already feel this archetype stirring in your dreams or in your daily rhythms. Maybe you're noticing where you crave stability or where comfort is hiding from you. Taurus energy doesn't rush. It reminds us that growth, real growth, takes time, attention, and devotion. Dream symbols to watch out for during the 6-month Taurus arc include gardens, animals, and broken furniture. Gardens show you what's growing in your psyche. Animals often reflect instincts or protections rising to the surface. Broken furniture may point to outdated support systems, places where security once lived but no longer fits. Let's take a breath and drop into the sky. This week's astrology brings a familiar energy, but with a deepened pulse. We're still moving through the spire of Sun square Mars. It's not new, it's not gone, but it has evolved. Last week, that tension might have felt like inexplicable pressure rising out of nowhere. Frustration, impulse, a confrontation between what you want and what actually works. This week, it's still here, but maybe now we're not reacting as quickly. Maybe we're starting to listen. Sun square Mars again. Not a glitch, but a gift. The cosmos don't always bring new stories. Sometimes it brings a second draft, a chance to try again, with a steadier hand, a more grounded voice, a slower breath. So ask yourself, where did I rush last week? What does this tension teach me when I stop resisting it? The new moon in Taurus encourages us to plant deliberately, and the waxing Cancer moon reminds us growth requires care. This isn't about pushing harder, it's about embodying the lesson. Imagine this square, not as a wall, but as a training ground. Your willpower, your anger, your ambition, they're all in the room, and they're asking, can we be strong without destruction? Can we move with power and presence? This is the ritual of repetition. The universe is whispering, this part matters. Let's do it again, this time with more wisdom. Let me share a dream with you, one that came through loud and clear and in ways I never expected. I'm sitting at a large table, surrounded by congressmen and senators. This is the kind of room where decisions get made behind closed doors, where power is wrapped in suits and smiles. It's formal, but under the surface, something's off. And then I see her, Sarah Palin. She's not speaking. She's not debating. She's doing something strange. She's going through Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez's backpack. That's when something in me rises. I don't stay silent. I stand up shocked, my voice cutting through the chatter. Are you seriously going through her backpack right now? We're not doing this. I look around to see if anyone else is willing to respond. They're all focusing on other things. Sarah Palin is going through AOC's backpack. Does anybody care? As I speak, I'm walking towards her. And then, only then, when I personally confront her, does she stop. That was the moment, Apokalypsis, not as destruction, but as disclosure. A hidden violation made visible. A moment of clarity, rising out of the shadows and silence. This dream wasn't about political parties. It was about power and privacy. About speaking the truth when no one else will. About naming the uncomfortable thing in the room and refusing to pretend it isn't happening. Maybe you've been in a space like that recently. Maybe you've seen something unjust, something quietly wrong, and felt the choice to stay seated or to speak up. In the dream, I chose to speak, and the room changed. That's the energy we're moving with this week, under the new moon in Taurus. Grounded, clear-eyed, brave enough to stand up and say, we're not doing this, not this way. As you move through your own sacred spaces this week, whether they look like temples, or boardrooms, or bedrooms, ask yourself, what's being revealed? What needs to be said even if your voice shakes? And what changes when you let the truth rise? Now, let's turn to the cards. The new moon in Taurus is asking us to begin again, to plant something lasting. But Apokalypsis reminds us, beginnings often arrive with disruption. We can't plant seeds in soil that hasn't been turned over. We must first face the truth. So I ask the cards, what truth is asking to be acknowledged in my life, even if it disrupts my current comfort? We pull the Ace of Cups and the Hermit. The message is clear. Something in your life may no longer be aligned with your deeper truth. If confusion persists, clarity might not come from solving the problem, but from walking away. The Hermit urges you to turn inward. Truth isn't loud. It lives in silence, in solitude, in the moments when you ask, what does real satisfaction feel like? Not comfort, not convenience, but meaning. And when we ask, how have I avoided this truth in order to maintain stability? The Ace of Cups reversed answers. You've let your emotional well run dry. You've ignored your deeper longing in favor of staying put. But it's not too late. This reversed ace says, begin again. Say yes to something your heart still wants, even if it scares you. Then I asked, what in my life is worth protecting, nurturing, and rooting deeper, even as old structures fall away? The Page of Pentacles reversed arrived with a gentle twist. Right now, it's okay to explore. Your energy may feel scattered, but that doesn't mean you're lost. Stay open, follow the glimmers, let Taurus guide your curiosity back to something steady. We then pulled the Six of Swords reversed, and the Ace of Pentacles reversed. There's peace ahead, but not without first releasing the mental loops keeping you stuck. The fresh start is waiting, but it requires clarity of mind and intention. Where are you still holding on? To what's already collapsed? Ask yourself, what is solid and life-giving beneath the rubble of what's been exposed? That's where you plant. That's what you protect. Now, let's take a moment to turn inward. This week, I invite you to engage with the archetype of Apokalypsis through reflection, not as a distant concept, but as a personal experience, an unveiling within your own life. These journaling prompts are yours to consider over the next few weeks, up to the next 6 months. How you engage with this activity is entirely your choosing. 1. What truth is quietly rising to the surface through humor, fatigue, or coded words? Sometimes revelations come disguised. Pay attention to the subtle signals. 2. How did it feel to let that truth live in the light? Explore the emotions that arose when you allowed this truth to be seen, even if just by you. 3. Where in your life is something being revealed? Identify areas where clarity is emerging. What patterns, beliefs, or narratives are coming into focus? 4. What shifts are you beginning to notice, and how have you been affected? Acknowledge the changes, big or small, and their impact on your inner and outer world. As you sit with these questions, remember, journaling is a sacred act of self-witnessing. It's a space where your inner voice can speak freely without judgment. Whatever is being revealed to you now, let it be seen. Whether it arrives gently or rocks you to your core, Apokalypsis is not here to destroy, but to disclose, to peel back the layers so you can meet the truth with clarity and courage. This new moon in Taurus invites you to plant intentions that can withstand the weight of the present reality. With Apokalypsis in play, it's best to build slowly, root deeply, and let the unveiling guide your next steps. Do not let it deter you, dear dreamer. Things simply cannot be as they once were. If you sense suppressed feelings and hidden truths beginning to surface, know that you are not alone. Please share what you are experiencing. What shifts are you beginning to notice, and how have you been affected? Moving forward, let's keep making connections. Between your dreams, the stars, and the sacred work of waking up, I'll meet you back here next week with more reflections, more cards, and more ways to honor the mystery. Until then, be gentle with yourself, rest well, and keep dreaming.